Hello, everyone. Alf, what's up, Libra? Let's see. Yeah, that's better. And then, sorry. I hate when the videos start with people setting things up, but let me just get that out of the way. If I can make this bigger. Okay. Yeah. All right, so welcome to the Q&A with the Vedic Astrologer, Vic DiCara. All right, how does Makyam asks, or let me see, glasses on. Makyam asks, how does Sun in Capricorn and Saturn in Leo sign exchange work? Does it have any positive potential? Usually, sign exchanges are interpreted based primarily on the houses that are exchanging. Cannot remember the chapter. I could tell you the chapter. Hang on a second. I'm going to advise you to find more info on this, to look at a certain chapter of Paladipika. It was the chapter on yogas, right? Can't really find it right now. I can't find it right now, but in Paladipika, we covered it in the live streams, in the Paladipika live streams, so you can look for that. Maybe somebody who knows about it, hey Stephanie, will put a link to this somewhere where you can get more info from the live streams about how you interpret house exchanges. Basically, when you have 6, 8, or 12 exchanging with something, then it's kind of a negative house exchange. Otherwise, it's always a positive house exchange. And then, of course, if it's trine and Kendra exchanging, then it's super good. So the classical astrologers really don't care so much if it's the Sun and Saturn or what have you. They just care about what houses are being exchanged. Nat asks, how about Sun in Aquarius and Saturn in Leo? Well, for that, you just want to review the basics about dignity. So then you'll realize that a planet which is in its enemy's sign is not dignified. And a planet which is not dignified it gives kind of undignified versions of its symbolisms. For example, an undignified Sun is a bit bossy, or an undignified Saturn is a bit harsh, rude. But a dignified Saturn is very controlled, self-controlled, and a dignified Sun is very respectable. You see the difference between dignified and undignified versions of the same things. Aaron asks, what does Jupiter and Saturn retrograde in a birth chart bring? Well, again, it really depends on the signs and the houses. We were just reading the Bhagavatam. The last video that I did on astronomy and the Puranas, real Vedic astronomy, real Vedic astrology, mentioned that Jupiter is auspicious unless it's retrograde. But that opinion is not, I have not heard that opinion in other places. But it is the Puranic opinion, so it must have been a really old opinion, unless somehow it was miscommunicated. But generally, the retrogression is just an indication that the strength of the planet has increased. Because planets only go retrograde when they're getting very close to opposite from the Sun, which means that they're very bright, and brightness is very important for interpreting the strength of a planet. So the safest way to interpret retrogressions is that the planet is, whatever else you think about this planet in this chart, it is becoming more important or more significant or more loud because of the retrogression. Chinmay Pedro Avanti, hello. Yash. Cosmic Connections Astro Tarot asks, which author of Paladipika is authentic? There's only one author of the Paladipika. It's Mantreshwar. There's maybe several different translators. They're all authentic. Nobody did a bluff or anything. But not all of them are very good. I'm working on my own. I released my own. Please go to vicdicara.com, click on books, and look for the Paladipika. It's only the first 4 chapters so far, but it's very useful. And then for the rest of the stuff, look at the live streams or wait a little bit. Pedro, what does it mean for Aquarius rising to have Saturn ruling both the 1st and the 12th? So that's an interesting question. What do you know about Aquarius? What is like the basic idea that comes to your mind when you think of Aquarius? Maybe Aquarius is a water pot, and the person bearing the pot is a waiter, right? Or a servant carrying water for you. So what do you know about Aquarius? Generally, it's a humble, non-egoistic sign. It's opposite from Leo. So what do you think it means that Saturn is both the 1st Lord and the 12th Lord? Yeah. Hello, Marseille. Dylan Lopez asks, what would you interpret of a Moon and Mars conjunction in the 3rd? That's an interesting question. The Moon is a soft planet while Mars is hard. So I would want to know, I would want you to ask of yourself, which one of these 2 planets is closer to the cusp of the house? So then I would want you to ask what kind of house system you're using. I would use a whole sign house system, and then the cusp of the house would be the degree in that sign that is equal to the ascendant's degree. Right? So whichever planet is closer to the cusp of the house is going to take the dominance in the interpretation of that house. And then ask yourself about the sign. Is the sign favoring the Moon, or is the sign favoring Mars? So if it's the Moon and Mars in Scorpio, it's not going to be the same as the Moon and Mars in Cancer. Jonathan, wait. Chinmoy asks, if Bhagavatam is Puranam, then why does he want to experience if Bhagavan is Puranam, then why does he want to experience or enjoy the reality that he's created? So your problem is that you're thinking that Bhagavan is you, or in the same class or category as you or I. We rent. Bhagavan owns. So you're thinking, why does Bhagavan need something? Because you're just relating it to your own experience, which is that if you are enjoying a pizza, then you need the pizza. But if you are enjoying your own inner sense of peace, do you need something? No. Right? So you say, why does Bhagavan bother to enjoy things? I thought Bhagavan was self-satisfied. That means that what Bhagavan is enjoying is Bhagavan's own self is identical to the self. So please, you have to try to learn about the concept of Advaya Gyan Tattva. How the reality is, there's no duality in the ultimate reality, but it doesn't mean that there's no plurality. There's no duality in plurality. So to learn about that, I would recommend, I have a course. It's the second Vedas course, which is the definition of reality. So vicdicara.com, click on classes, take that second course in the Vedas, the definition of reality. That's all about Advaya Gyan Tattva, which is described in Bhagavatam. We probably also covered it in the live streams in the first canto, early first canto. Then Jonathan asks if there's a shortcut or quick way of becoming unselfish. Have kids. And don't be a dud. Have kids and be a good parent. That's the best. But Neither is that easy nor short, but compared to any other way of doing it, it is. SM asks, which transit framework is the most reliable? There are so many out there, it's hard to pick which ones to use. There's not really so many out there. When the knowledge of something is shallow, then we only see the differences between things. But when the knowledge of something is deep, you realize that they're all the same. So there are not really many different transit systems. There's one universal transit system. And you're asking about transits. It was my mistake. I thought you were asking about aspects. So I think you're saying, like, what should we look at? Transits to the moon, transits to the ascendant. I honestly never ever look at transits to the moon, and I do just fine. So, and I'm not looking at transits to the ascendant. I'm looking at transits to the birth chart. And since the primary birth chart is ascendant based, and the interpretations of those transits wind up being ascendant based, but it's hardly like that at all. It's just simple. Like, let's say Saturn is transiting my Rahu. So my Rahu is in Pisces and my ascendant is Capricorn. So let's say that Saturn is transiting my Rahu. Well, the interpretation of what's going to happen to at that time in my life is going to be based upon Rahu being in my third house in Pisces and having Saturn activating that. You understand? So it's simple. You don't have to really, it's all the different presentations of the different kind of frameworks of transits. It's just different people explaining it in different ways. It's really just one simple thing. So then you might say, well, what about the moon transits? Well, if Rahu is transiting my Pisces, if Rahu is transiting my Rahu in Pisces and my moon is in Gemini, well, then that makes it a 10th house transit, right? So not only is it a third house transit, it's a 10th house transit. Okay. Alf. Different combinations form yogas. Is there a yoga for having the ruler of the north node and south node in the first house? Like the ruler of the north node and the ruler of the south node? No, there's no yoga for that. Doesn't mean it's not significant, but I have not seen anybody mention it. Yogas are things that teachers of yore have recorded and used to teach people how to do astrology. Example interpretations of example scenarios. That's what yogas really are. So nobody really used that particular setup as an example before. Nori, can you ask about significant marriage indicators in the birth chart? Marriage indicators. It's Venus and the seventh lord in the seventh house. Parisha. Is this the famous Parisha? Saturn in Aries are coming up in the next couple of years. Saturn, yes. Thoughts on this? Yes, I've been avoiding thinking about it. I don't know. Actually, I've been avoiding thinking about it, and I think I'm going to continue to avoid thinking about it. I don't know what to say right now. I'm not. Saprisha, I don't know. Sorry about that. It's something I'm just avoiding trying to think about. HTS, what effect does a Taurus moon and Venus Scorpio opposition have on an individual? Whoa. Yeah, this is brain work. Just handling so many questions right away. What effect does a Taurus moon? So moon is in Taurus, Venus is in Scorpio. It's nice. Why would it not be nice? It's an exalted moon. I hope you're using the coordinate system that I would use, which is the tropical coordinate system. But Taurus moon is exalted. Scorpio Venus, it may not be so nice depending on your cultural and familial background. You might not be in a culture which can handle a Venus in Scorpio very well. Scorpio Venus are people like Cardi B and Lat type. So, and then having that aspect on the moon. If it's a female, it's very, 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 very desirable. And very like abundant in felicity production. It's great, but it depends upon your other scenarios, other situations. So if it's in a chart where there's a lot of warmth and there's a lot of fertility in the whole chart, then it's really great. If this is in a chart where the rest of the chart is very cold or trying to achieve detachment or disinterest, then it's a bother. If it's in a male chart, then it's great, but in a different way. It's more like this guy never runs out of ideas. This guy's constantly coming up with interesting things. And, you know, a very good looking man, but mostly super creative. Can you talk about the new reports that you are working on? Well, it's the new reports that I'm working on. I think the last time I did a major upgrade, actually, the last time I did like a major upgrade to the reports was 2008 or maybe 10. That would be 14 years in the making. And the last time I did a significant addition to the reports was 2017. So it's many, many years in the making to get a significant upgrade. So I'm making modular reports where what you can do is you can order one report and with whatever modules you want in it. So if you want every module, you can get like a personal book, like a novel about yourself. It would probably come out to be about 300 pages or something. But say if you already got some other ones and you just want X, Y, and Z modules, you'll be able to select those. All of the reports will be using the same unified calculation engine. So everything will be uniform down to the slightest decimal. And then a couple of new things, like things that have not been released before, not only by me, but kind of by nobody. So, for example, the overlay charts of the amshas onto the main chart, which are so important. I'll finally give them to you guys. And other cute things, like nice things like real, like charts for the real non-zodiacal subdivisions. And you want to see the work in progress? The work in progress on that. Let me see if I can grab it. I would use something like, just a sec, I'll get the window. Maybe not. Yeah, let me show you. Window capture, right? What is it called now? View source. Let's just do this. Room. Yeah, that's what I want. I want that one. And where is it? Is it on screen yet? It's not on screen, huh? All right, I'm going to risk showing. Wait. Let's try one other thing. Let's see if this newfangled media source. Yo, that is not it. All right. I don't know how to show it to you guys. How do you get a window? Browser. You just added a browser source. Nah. I don't feel like learning the ropes while I'm live, so. But anyway, yeah, that's great. That's your update on that. You'll get more from me on that anyway. Thanks for asking. So where are we? Hi, Sarah. What are the qualities of being born on a full moon? The qualities that simply come from the moon is the fact that the moon is big. I'm sorry for the answers being so simple, but really astrology is so simple. The moon is big, so the qualities of the moon are dominant. The moon is dominant. That's all you can tell. I can tell you about the full moon. The thing that the truth of the matter is, astrology is so simple, but the complication of it comes from the fact that your whole chart is not just the full moon; it's in a particular sign with particular aspects on it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And to give you a less simple answer would require interpreting all that stuff. Basically, it means the emotions are very significant, and the person's emotions and opinions and subjectivity is very significant to them. What else? What would you interpret of a Rahu-Mercury conjunction? It's difficult on the mind. It makes the intelligence hard to. It gives kind of an ADHD effect on the logic circuits. So it's hard to follow logical paths to the end without aborting and jumping to some other circuit. And it can also have some kind of a similar effect on speech. Like it's hard to finish one sentence before jumping to another, or finish one idea before jumping to another. Gift word asks, does the connection between 4, 2, and 8 lords by aspects create a spiritual person? Yes. Dhara, talk about Krishna and Rama. Okay. I'm sorry, unfortunate to say, probably because my brain is like just moving from topic to topic. So I would need something more specific. How to fix Venus in Capricorn? How to fix it? I don't know. To be more specific. What's broken about it? I don't know. You can't really get personalized service. What if I was a doctor, like a pediatrician, and you just come on and tell me that your kid has this stuff he knows? How do you fix it? I don't know. So, there are certain things I can tell you. Like Venus in Capricorn tend to be under selective, which has of course in the romantic arena, and it will tend to have a deficit mentality when it comes to romance and other objects of pleasure and luxury. And the fact that a deficit mentality or pessimistic mentality it basically boils down to the thought that this is probably the best that I can get, or this is probably fine. This will probably be fine. That's how to really watch it. Watch out for that with Venus in Capricorn. Or other situations, Venus may be in that trouble Venus. That's generally what happens. Okay. Paul Murray Bro says, what can be expected for a Hasta ascendant native? I'm not so sure. Sorry. I guess the eclipse is going to be in Hasta. I don't know. But like, who likes to think about dangerous things? That's why I didn't think about Saturn and Aries. I don't know. Like, if you want to, like, I don't know. Like, that would be something that I would need to be paid to do, because, like, I don't want to do that. Figure out, and figure out how it's going to, like, cause dangers and things. But it doesn't sound like 25 virgin angels are going to come out of Allah's heavens because of the eclipse on your ascendant. It sounds more like something else. But, you never know. It could be anything, and it could be nothing. Like I say, I don't really want to try to figure it out. Cosmostrology says, one thing I'm a little confused about is aspects within Vedas. Do signs aspect or just planets? I see someone mention signs aspecting. Does aspects start from that house or the next one? There is this thing called sign aspects, which is really weird. It is not actually a part of basic Vedic astrology. There's Vedic astrology, and then there's this kind of like appendix to Vedic astrology, which is called the Jaimini Sutra. Jaimini Sutra has a lot of unusual things in it, and Jaimini requests people not to use his system unless they can already use the basic system very, very well. People tend to not even know that he made that request and just go right ahead and use all of his techniques. One of his techniques is the signs aspect. What he's basically saying, and again, I have gone for almost 20 years without ever using this technique, and it's just fine. But basically what he says is if something is in a fixed sign, then that will have an impact on the cardinal signs. Something like that. And God knows what the logic is behind that, etc., etc., etc. But that's basically what's going on. It's just it's not that the signs are aspecting other signs, as far as I understand. It's that the planet being in a particular sign has some sort of a window or an influence to these other particular signs that are in these square patterns that fit with these, with the modalities, the quadruplicities. Okay. The main way of aspecting in Vedic astrology is very similar to the way anybody would do aspects. It's just by the degree of the planet. The other thing which you might think with signs aspecting is, in shorthand Vedic astrology, people will think things like Jupiter aspects the 7th, 5th, and 9th, but then they forgot that that's the shorthand, and they think that's the full definition. The shorthand, 7, 5, and 9, are the angles that are to the 7, 5, and 9, which is 120, 180, and 240. The Jupiter has 100% aspect on the trines, 120 and 240, as well as the opposition, 180. So that is the way aspects work. I'm sure I have a video on my channel about it. Google is really good if you do my name, Vic DiCara, and then the topic that you want to know. And then if I have a video about it, you'll see it. So if you type in Vic DiCara Vedic aspects, if I do have a video about Vedic aspects, you'll probably get it. And I seem to remember that I did. Alf, would you consider making current transit videos? I would consider doing that if I had that yogic city where I could make expansions of myself to do other things. I don't have time. I barely have time to do anything. The other thing I could do is start a gigantic corporation and have people work for me, but that's also not me. I can't do that. So sorry. I mean, it's something that sounds cool, but I don't know how I'm going to get the time to do that. Noditsa? Rosalind says, do you have a video on Gandanta? It's so weird. When the video and Gandanta is together, my brain tells me it says video games. Do you have a video on Gandanta? Gandanta doesn't require a whole video because it takes about 2 minutes to explain what it is. Every 4 signs is a Gandanta. And in between the other signs, it's a regular anta. In other words, there's a sandhi between each sign. There's a transition or a border between each sign. And every 4 signs, there's a big border, Gandanta, a deep border. Ganda means like cleavage. So it's deep, a deeper cut. So there's a deeper rift between every 4th sign. Every sign has a rift between it, a border between it, but every 4 signs is a deeper rift. Why? Very simple reason. It's just every 4th sign is water, and then the pattern repeats again. Also, every 4th sign is the trine, right? So every 4th sign is water, and then the next one is fire, and there's no bigger difference between elements. That's the simple reason for Gandanta. So therefore, the way, how do you interpret Gandanta is also just very simple. It's just the same way you would interpret a regular sandhi, a regular border placement, like if something is at 30 degrees or 0 degrees, or within about 2.5 degrees or 3 degrees of that. You would interpret the planet as, being just like Vic DiCara for the past couple of months. They're moving and they can't make any videos anymore because they're moving. Remember that? I did a video of myself like painting the ceiling. So that's what planets are like when they're on the border. When they're on the Gandanta border, it's even a more difficult move. It's like an international move. It takes a lot of effort. The planet really doesn't do anything else except transition from one place to the next. So you interpret it as that this person is significantly trying to transit from the previous sign to the new sign. The interpretations of X and Y. Hopefully it makes sense. Do you have any tips for someone going through Mars? No? Yeah, sure. Mars Mahadash. Just don't rush. That's my tip. HT liked my Mars Capricorn video. Thank you. Is there anything you can mention about the sexual proclivities, libido, and desire of a male with Mars Capricorn? I probably already said it. Or did I not say it in there? It seems to be strong. And Venus and Scorpio. And Venus and Scorpio. There you go. Dr. Gaurav Singhal. Good morning to India. Can a planet give results in the Mahadash of its Navamsha Lord? Planet can always give results. Because it's always having some kind of dasha or subdasha, and it's always getting some kind of transit. So basically, it's always possible. What's the significance of the 3rd house? Beautiful story, yes. And it just scrolled me to a different universe. So I'm just going to go from wherever it scrolled me to. 3rd house is look at any of my videos of anything in the 3rd house. So just go Google Vic DiCara 3rd house, and you'll see plenty of explanations of the 3rd house. It's on the eastern side of the underground sky, so it represents how the inner feelings move towards the self and try to become real. So it's about selfish drives, ambitions, lusts, greeds, and it's about strength and ambition to achieve what you want. That's the 3rd house. Amber got a report and liked it. Thank you, Amber. Stephanie wants to know if I ever compile my own astrology software package. No. Maybe when I die. Can you do a Secrets of Astrology No One Talks About video series? No, other people do that. And I mean that very seriously. Other people do that. Oh, God. At least these days I stop myself from being a jerk sometimes. Other people do that. That is not my style. If there is something important about astrology, it's not a secret. There's really nothing secret about astrology except confusion, loopholes, and smoke and mirrors that you don't need. Everything you need to know about astrology is just explained right in front of your face, simple, and you just need to practice it. All you need to know is what the houses represent, what the signs represent, what the planets represent, and basic concepts like dignity, amshas, subdivisions, and aspects. That's already going to take you 3 years, 4 years to learn. If you're lucky, if you're a good learner, and if you have aptitude for it. So why look for secrets? That is the secret. The secret is that there's no secrets. And that you should be wary of people saying secrets. If something is a secret, it probably is not important. Because it wouldn't have been able to be kept a secret. Nagasura, I love that name. Nagasura 88. This is such a cool name. I might steal that name. Nagasura 88, because 88 is the year I graduated too. Hey Vic, huge fan. Thank you, Nagasura. I learned almost all my Jyotish. Thank you. Thank you. Alf, Batum, yes. Somebody's name is yes. Sun and Saturn conjunct in Gemini. No, I don't know. Let me look for a question that I can digest. Somebody give me it. Hi Sandra, thanks. Do I have a comment on chapter 8, verse 16 of Bhagavad Gita? What is what's the confusing part about that? Chapter 8 of Gita is talking about how different techniques for elevating yourself, especially in the next birth. And Krishna's point is, none of these techniques are really useful, and none of these methods of elevation are actually useful when you look at it in the long term. Because no kind of promotion that you can get is permanent. But the only thing that would be useful would be to get promoted to a permanent, better place, permanent position. And that's why the only real thing to strive for is enlightenment. Rafi has an interesting question. On a blog entry about career assessment using Varna's, that is a long time ago, you mentioned that air was tactile and water was intellectual. I would think these characterizations would be introverted. No, but they're not. But the thing about air, that makes you feel that it's intellectual and that it does actually have a valid intellectual ramification, is that air is the only method by which we communicate. Water is the intellectual element. However, you would never know. If somebody was pure water, they would be an absolute genius. But you or I would know nothing of their ideas. Because none of their ideas would ever leave their own contemplation. So air is the element by which ideas and things are exchanged between places and between people. So air plays a very important role in education and the teaching and the spreading of intelligence. But water, which is the contemplative and reflective, water is a mirror. And intelligence requires reflection and looking within, whether it's looking at the intelligence, looking at the mind, or looking to the self, it requires looking within. So it's the water element that actually is the intelligence. The air element is the servant of the intelligence, and this is reflected in the speech is the servant or the consort of the intelligence, Brahma and Vak. Brahma is the intellect divinity, and Vak is the speech divinity. So, and they're consorts, and Vak is, because Vak is the way that the intellect can express itself. Speech is the way. Also, water is not tactile. Air is tactile. This is why when there's a breeze, it's more romantic or more pleasant. And when the air is still, it's not very enjoyable. Because the skin responds to the changes in the pressure. And the air is what's directly touching the skin. Water is not tactile. Water is the imagination. Let's see what else we got. Angels always here. Welcome back, Angel. How should one interpret a conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn? It's supposed to be very good because those are the two big hitters. But of course, you want to see, are they in the house that is favorable to them both, or only one, or only the other? Sign that favors them both, or only one or the other, etc. Kiran Joshi asks, since the moon represents the mind, how should we use the new moon day, since it's thought to be inauspicious? It's not, when you're, the way that the inauspiciousness is dictated in classical India, it's based on the karma. So when a Tithi is deemed to be inauspicious, it means that karmas shouldn't be undertaken on that day. So nothing is universally auspicious or inauspicious. Things are auspicious or inauspicious for particular other things. Like, I don't know, Joseph Goebbels was auspicious for his own children, but very inauspicious for the Polish Jews. Right? So like a Tithi, like an Omnivas or something, so like a new moon day is inauspicious for, say, opening a company, or even opening your store, or starting a new product line, or approaching somebody to make a proposition or something. The karmas shouldn't be undertaken on that day. Karmas means the actions for poverty, the actions for prosperity and accumulation are not good on inauspicious days. But inauspicious days are good for purification and cleansing and rest. And that is what the new moon day is best used for. It's the exhalation of emotions, releasing and letting go of the opinions. No need to hang on to your opinions. No need to hang on to your subjective reactions. Let them out on Amvas. You'll find that will be the most auspicious thing that you could do on an Amvas, because then when you get to the next auspicious day, you feel very energized, you feel very light. Sandra asks, when you're just learning Vedic astrology, what would be a good learning book? Just go to vicdicara.com and then click on books, and then go to Radically Deep Fundamentals of Astrology. Get that one. What about, Moje Dobro asks, what about a female with Rahu Jupiter conjunction in the first house in the sign of Scorpio? Rahu is much closer to the ascendant point and is Yoga Karaka. Rahu is Yoga Karaka? How could Rahu be a Yoga Karaka? Scorpio, you mean because it's making a Raj Yoga? Look, so if you got Jupiter and Rahu, then you have Guru Chandal, which is basically just saying you have Jupiter and Rahu. So what it's saying is you have this planet of culture and tradition associating with this planet of chaos and wildness. So when you get Jupiter Rahu conjunctions, you have urges and impulses and drives to defy the traditional cultural norms. That's a generic Jupiter Rahu conjunction without saying anything about what sign it's in or what house. But if it's in Scorpio in the first house, then it's a Raja Yoga. That's because this is the shorthand way of figuring that out. Is Scorpio is a water sign. So the other water signs must be trines. Pisces is one of the other water signs. Jupiter owns Pisces. So Pisces must be a trine. So Jupiter must be a trine lord. And if it's in the first house with a node, that's a Raja Yoga because the first house is an angular house. So you would not erase the basic concept of Guru Chandala, which is a distaste for the established morality because of the hypocrisy in it. You wouldn't erase that, but you wouldn't want to frame it as being something that's highly negative or difficult for the native. Maybe frame it as something. This is what actually gives this person pleasure, not pleasure, but like peace of mind, and gives them identity and makes them useful to the society. Dara, will you read us more excerpt stories from your books? That's a good idea. That's a good idea. But again, I feel like I need I need like 3 or 4 copies of myself to do different things. Early morning writer asks a personal question. Is there any moon-sun sign combination you have in particular? I don't meet enough people to know. I'm reclusive. Yeah, I don't really meet enough people to know who I get along with and who I don't. But thank you for the interesting question. So it flipped again. Karen asks, what about the fire and earth elements? So because we had previously talked about air and water, what's fire and earth? Well, it's just simple like this. There's just four goals. There's 4 objectives in life for humans. Just like there's 4 elements. So the basic objective is just basic happiness, which is represented by air. It's just pleasure. The ability to interact with things, the ability to exchange with things and touch things and interface and experience. Then the next goal is artha, which means you want to have some assets so that your karma is of a higher quality, so that your pleasure and your interactions are of a higher quality. You don't want to just interact with grass and eat grass like a bunny rabbit. You want to have a salad. So to get a salad instead of grass, you have to maybe cultivate a farm or go to a restaurant. So you need that kind of thing, like is called artha, developing of some land or having some money. That is signified by the earth element. The artha, all of the artha concerns, the urge to have property, the urge to have money, the urge to grow your assets is earthy. The air is the urge to touch and experience. And earth is the urge to grow your assets. And the third goal is dharma, where you realize that you can't grow your assets. You can't grow your assets because thieves come and steal your assets. That's what would happen. If you wanted salad instead of grass and you started growing lettuce, then the bully from down the street would come and steal your lettuce. So then the third thing that you would realize you need is dharma, which means people need to have integrity. people need to abide by their roles and not overstep their boundaries. And that is the fire element. The fire element is commanding and enforcing of rules, and is also clarifying of what is right and wrong. So all the fire element, it likes to make things simple, clear, and definite. So it's a bit masculine. Air and fire are masculine. Fire is hard spectrum masculine. Air is mid-spectrum masculine. Water is hard feminine, hard spectrum feminine, full spectrum feminine, and earth is mid-spectrum feminine. Fire is that kind of, everything is crystal clear, everything is cut and dry. It's yes or no, it's binary, it's right or wrong. Do it, don't do it. I like this, I don't like that, etc., etc. And it will enforce. Fire has a tendency to enforce things upon others. So you can look at the different fire signs and see how it becomes different depending on the ruler of the sign. Jupiter has a fire sign too. But what does Jupiter like to enforce? Ideas. And that's the nature of Sagittarius. The sun has a fire sign. And what does the sun like to do? It likes to organize, control people, rule people. So it likes to enforce law. Mars has a fire sign too, but it's not like a governmental kind of a feeling. It's like, I am doing my own thing. Because Mars's nature is independence. I have my own right and wrong. Don't bother me with yours. So those are the four elements then. And then, water, of course, is the fourth goal, which is you need a break. You want to get out of the whole mess of working so hard just for a salad. You just want to sleep, or you want to get some kind of vacation or liberation. So that's water, where you look within to find out how come I have my salad, but I'm not very satisfied with it, even after I got it. So those are the four. Thank you, Dara. Thank you, ER. Let's see what else we got. I9 Bash, have not seen your name in a while. Good to see you again. Piotr. Piotri. Very grateful. Thank you. Can you explain the difference between planets placements from Lugna? I don't understand. Sorry. What do you think of a Mars Moon Venus conjunction? Thank you, Katerina. She likes the book Beautifully Rational Astrology. Thank you for ordering the book. It will help you for sure. And then the other one after that is Essential Fundamentals of Vedic Astrology. Thank you, James. That is correct, Jose. Tropical is not constellation. That's why the zodiac is tropical, because it's not constellations. It's, like right now I can see the sun. I can see the light. I can't see anything else. What can I see right now out this window is the zodiac. The amount of the daylight, the position of the shadows tells me where the sun is in the zodiac. So it is the most visible thing. The zodiac is the most visible thing, and it's literally the brightness of the day. It's not that it's an invisible thing, but it's not stellar, and it's based upon the brightness of the day, which has these four extreme points, or two extreme points, the solstices and the two midpoints, the equinoxes. And if you think I'm making that up, then you obviously haven't been to vicdicara.com. Click on the tropical question mark. Player boy. Does a person with mostly water and air placements have the most difficulty in this age of Rahu? Perhaps. I can see where you're going with that. A little too sensitive for what's going on today, where nobody is sensitive. Yeah, and also this is not the age where it's good to be a female, nor has it been for centuries, if not millennia. So yeah, that water and air are the two female signs, two female elements. Marie says, I have South Node in Virgo in the 10th house. Am I supposed to look for Mercury for a career? The best thing to... this will be one of the modules on the new report, by the way. One of the modules would be if you want a pointer on career. And the technique for the pointer on career, the most reliable technique for the pointer on career is whatever your most prominent planet is, your career really should have something directly to do with that planet. And then, of course, it makes a difference what kind of spread there is between your most prominent planet and the others. Like, so in charts where the most prominent planet is very prominent and the others are not, then it's very obvious. But in charts where there's kind of 2 or 3 planets vying for the prominence, then it might not be as easy or simple of a clear technique to use in those particular cases. But you probably would then want to blend. So in the current report, the one that I've been doing offering since 2000 and something, 10, that is the front and center. That graph that shows the prominence of the planets is front and center. One of the most important things in the report. So whatever your most prominent planet is, that's what you should be doing as a career. Parisha asks, how does one interpret planets in the same house but so far apart and degree that they would not be considered conjunct? They're influencing each other still by the fact that they're in the same house. But you may have more important things in the chart to look at. So this is really what you do, and what I do when I look at a chart is check my battery life in my brain. So you use up your battery life really fast when you look at a chart. So what you want to do is spend your energy in the most important areas. So if you have 2 planets in a house that are not that conjunct, you could go ahead and spend your whole battery on interpreting that. But you might be trying to explain Paris on the basis of something that you found on a side street that isn't really that important to what Paris is really like. So first of all, just look at the whole chart really fast. Don't just grab onto the first thing that catches your attention. Look for the things that you figure out what things are really significant in the chart and spend your energy interpreting those. You have 2 planets in a same house that are not really that close together. Probably not the most significant thing in the chart. Look for the things that are really close together. Look for the planets that are really right on house cusps. Look for the conjunctions that are really exact. Look for the aspects that are really exact. Give your attention to those. Not only will that save your battery life in your emotional and intellectual mind, it will also help you put the most important interpretations front and center. Okay? It's not just by Bala Bardoji, it's by Bala and opportunity to utilize the Bala. Are you telling me that Bardo doesn't have one of my reports where I have kind of explained how that calculation is done? What else? What do we have? Any thoughts on Digbala, Kelzor Pine Tree? Oh, we're almost done. Kelzor Pine Tree, Digbala. Digbala is a part of Shadbala, and it's not really that advisable to take it out of that context. In other words, if you're going to base a whole interpretation on, if somebody comes up and is explaining a whole fact based on this Digbala thing, then I know they're bluffing. They don't know what they're doing. Digbala is 10% of a Shadbala importance. Somebody had this question. Do you have any thoughts on equal house system? The real house system for astrology is whole signs. That is why there are 12 houses. Otherwise, please explain to me why there's 12 houses and not 8 or 24 or some other number. There are 12 houses because there are 12 signs, and the concept is, what's the first sign? What's the second sign? What's the third sign? What's the fourth sign? First sign being one that is in the first direction. What's the first direction? East. So the sign which is in the east was the first one, and then the next sign in the zodiac was the second one, and third and fourth. And that's the original concept of places or houses. Now, because of the correlation of east, the east is the thing which determines the houses. It also placed north, south, and west also in 10, 4, and 7, and you got the concept of central houses, kendras. And because of that, over the centuries, some people started to wonder if maybe the houses are not the signs, they are some separate version of the sky. So maybe we shouldn't weld them exactly to the signs. From that, you get the devolution of all kinds of other house systems. And you can Google Vic DiCara house systems, and you'll get a live stream that's all about this. It explains this in full. So the first devolution was the equal house system. It said, just take these 30-degree pies, and instead of making them synonymous with the signs, just say 30 degrees on the east is the first house, and then the next 30 degrees is the second. And then from that, they said, well, but what about these other, not the ascendant, but the midhaven, which is the 10th house cusp? We should actually make it the 10th house cusp. And then when they thought of that, they started to come up with Shripati or Porifori, which is where these houses start to accordionize based on your latitude or longitude. But those are all, from my point of view, modern developments that are not useful. The basic system is just the great one, the whole sign house system. Yeah, Zena, so if you want to find that, just look. Google is nice. Vic DiCara and anything you want to know. Type in Vic DiCara and type in anything you want to know about astrology, and if I have a video about it, you'll find it. Okay. So I shall leave you now. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to doing this again in a couple of weeks. I think it's going to be 4 weeks. Thanks, everybody.